Hello there ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's Alexander Hilly123 here, and it's time for a new video, and as you can indeed see by the title of the video today, it is time for a new music vinyl pickups video, the first in around about 8 or so months. And I did say my aim in the last one was to upload a new one within the year, within 12 months, and I have indeed done so. 5 to show you guys today. If you've never seen these vinyl music pickup videos on my channel before, basically it's the exact same concept with video games. The last 5 that I've purchased, I show off for you guys, only these are more fun to be honest with you, because they're all physical, of course, physical vinyls, whereas these days with video games, most of them are digital, unfortunately. And these cost a fair bit of money. I can tell you exactly how much all these cost, and as such, that's why these take a heck of a lot longer. Before the last one in January 2024, I think it had been about 2.5, 3 years or so. But I once made a list last year about 5 or 6 vinyls, which if they came on offer, I was like, I have to get them. I will rob I won't rob a bank, but I'll do literally anything I legally can to get my hands on them. 5 or 6 vinyls. Out of all the music I love, one of them is getting a reissue in the next few months. Not in this video, it'll probably be in the next one, most certainly. And I aim to get a few more before the end of the year. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, all you guys who love the music vinyls, good news. We should be getting another video made within the next 6 months, I'd say, maybe. But we've got 5 to show off today in the genres of rap, rock, new metal, dream pop, singer-songwriter folk, electronic. Yep, indeed. And out of these 5 albums, they range as old as 1990 and as new as 2005. So, I always show them off in order of when I purchased them, and also in the drop down box I'm gonna leave a link to my favourite song from each album. These are pretty standard picks for music lovers. You've probably heard of these artists, but people like different kinds of music, of course. And yeah, let's get into it. And this first one, you talk about classics, ladies and gentlemen. I always like telling you guys how I got into the artists as well. We're going to try and aim to get this under 30 minutes. The last one was about 33 minutes. That's not bad. We've got Wikipedia open. It will help us, and I can tell you all about my first pick. Still in the kind of cellophane or whatever that it's in, the wrapping. So there will be a bit of shine to these because I've not opened them yet. I think I only got this about 3 or 4 months ago. And the latest, the last 3 I actually got last week. Oh, I wish I'd have told you guys this before I showed off Rage Against the Machine's debut album. But basically, for the first time since I started my vinyl collection in December 2017, instead of just getting them off Amazon online, Alexander Hilly123 last week went out into the motherfucking wild, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, I picked 3 up. Sorry for the webcam flashing there. I picked 3 up. Basically, I didn't know this, but in the market, in the town where I'm from, 4 times a year, once every 3 or so months, this time it's 2.5 months, around about that amount of time anyway, 4 times a year, they have shitloads of vinyls, and Slayer Rain in Blood was playing, and it was just like, this is sick. You know, all these, I called old people greyheads. It's a little bit offensive, but it's not meant to be. I love old people. But yeah, all these grey heads walking about, and you got Tom Araya singing about all the death and murder from Slayer, Rain in Blood. Gotta love that shit. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And honestly, I could have spent so much more. But then I actually went to, there's a vinyl shop in my town, because the one that I got from there, it's not this one, by the way. The first 2 I purchased online, but the one that I got from the market stall was second-hand. It's the only second-hand one I've got in my collection, I think. But, yeah, the other 2, which are the final ones I'll show off, were from a guy who owns his own vinyl shop. And I'll be going back there again in November. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into it. Sorry to delay it, but this is Rage Against the Machine's debut album. I'm going to talk to you about it. You probably know about it already. It's the debut album, released in November 92. A little bit bit later. I thought this was 91, but yeah, November 92. Running in at 53 minutes in length. And it says here the cover features a crop of Malcolm Brown's famous photograph of the self-immolation of Thich Quang Duc, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk in Saigon in 1963. The songs on Rage Against the Machine all feature political messages. Activists such as Provisional IRA, Hunger Strike, Bobby Sands, and Black Panther Party founder Huey P. Newton are listed in the Thanks for Inspiration section. Also thanked were Ian and Alec McKay. I don't really know who they are. And, you know, musically, Rage Against the Machine were an incredible band, and they left people wanting more. And in the modern day, in 2024, it's very much a culture of give people more that's not as good as it was. But these guys made 3 great albums, Evil Empire and The Battle of Los Angeles, all great albums as well. In my opinion, this is the best. They also did a covers album, which is really fun and cool and a little bit more relaxed. But this is the best, this is the heaviest, this is the most intense, this is the one where Morello's at his best, in my opinion. Zach De La Rocha, he's amazing all the time. I think on Evil Empire, the raps took over, they took precedence, and some people didn't like that, but I really enjoy that album. I did when I was younger. And yeah, in regards to when I got into Rage Against the Machine, it was like 2007, but I'd already known about so many tracks, like Sleep Now in the Fire, because it was a single, I remember that back in the day. Wake Up, of course, from the Matrix soundtrack. Killing in the Name, because of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas a few years earlier. And a couple more as well. So I downloaded the whole discography, torrented it in 2007, and was just like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. And a lot of other more metallic, heavier music I got into like 2008, 2009, but these guys were slightly earlier, and so many other bands have tried to replicate, at least musically, what these guys did with a mixture of rap and rock. There's another album that does it great later on in this list, and there will not be many that I'll ever get in my collection, but this is just an absolute legendary album. And I have to say, in terms of the lyrical content, I don't necessarily agree with everything here. Many years ago, I googled what some of these tracks were about lyrically and the inspirations. Of course, Rage Against the Machine are indeed proud socialists, or you could call them even communists. They're all from America, but they hate America, etc. I don't necessarily agree with the message, but I think with music, you've got to let the music speak for itself. And I've said before, you know, if I don't agree with the political standpoint of in most of the artists in my vinyl collection, I'm not going to be collecting vinyl, am I? They've got a different opinion about the world at times. Some of the messages I agreed with, some I didn't. It's just great music. It's aggressive music. It's fun. It's funky. All these guys are so good. The drummer, Brad Wilk, I think his name is. I've got Wikipedia open here. No, don't look. Tom Morello, some people say he's overrated, but he was doing some interesting things with his guitar in this album and some absolute killer riffs. And Tim Comerford, tell you what, this motherfucker. If you want bass, Rage Against the Machine, all 3 of their main albums have got incredible bass. For sure they have. But let's have a look at the track list here, ladies and gentlemen. Bomb Track, Killing in the Name, of course. Take the Power Back, Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, Know Your Enemy, featuring Maynard James Keenan. How was that man not featured on the vinyl collection yet? He will one day, if only Tool didn't make the vinyls incredibly expensive. Wake Up, Fistful of Steel, Township Rebellion, and Freedom. I mean, all 10 tracks are amazing. Most of these tracks are in over 5 minutes in length. They totally don't feel like it, in my opinion. What an amazing album musically. You know, whether you agree or not, lyrically, it's punchy and it's aggressive. And De La Rocha is a great rapper, if you want to call him that. And like I said, they went out on top. I think there was some kind of controversy, wasn't there, 2000 Grammys or another award when some shit won ahead of them. I think it might have been Limp Bizkit. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, they caused a bit of a ruckus. Bring the motherfucking ruckus. These guys did. Amazing band, amazing album. And it's kind of good that they didn't come back around about 2010-11, just after they reached UK number 1. at Christmas, which I was absolutely delighted with when I was about 20 years of age, to stop whichever X Factor, Britain's Got Talent drawn clone reaching #1 that year. I was absolutely loving it, and there were rumours that they were going to come back to do a return album, but they didn't. I'm sure they're very angry at the world, but yeah, what a legendary album. And there's the back with the car and the gasoline that motherfucker set himself alight for, just to prove his point. Whatever that was, I can't remember. Amazing album though, regardless. That's 1992, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring it back to 1990. August 1990, we're bringing it back to the UK. It's not England, it's Scotland, ladies and gentlemen. 2 Scottish albums on the list today. I'm going to have to drink a fucking swig of Coca-Cola for that. But this, it's a classic. I've had it as my Facebook cover photo for the last 2 years, only just got rid of it, or replaced it. It is, of course, Cocteau Twins with Heaven or Las Vegas, and like I said, this was released in August 1990. I've loved these guys now for a good 4 or 5 years or so. This is the most commercially successful album. It's the shiniest in terms of the production. It's the most popular, so of course you do get a lot of people saying, oh, it's not my favourite, it's not my favourite, and they're not being contrarian. It's just the fact that these guys made some great music in the 80s. The album Treasure is also absolutely incredible, and for me, the second best. And the other music isn't as poppy, as shiny, as clean in terms of the production as this. Accessible, I would say, but it's very good indeed. Bluebell Knoll, the album before Heaven or Las Vegas, is absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, if you guys have never heard the B-sides from these guys, I don't know what they were up to in the 80s, but my lord, some of their B-sides are some of their best material, and just singles and EPs. You've got to check out the 80s rarities, or more rare, just not on an LP, I guess, from Cocteau Twins, because there's some incredible music. My favourite track from them is actually, one of my favourite track is a track called Athol Bros, which is on the album before this, Bluebell Knoll. It's so happy and just unspeakably beautiful. It's amazing. And if you don't know, for the most part, I think on the last album or two, they changed it up and did real lyrics that actually made sense, but most of the lyrics that they sing, or that Elizabeth Fraser, the female singer, yes, this is a female-led band, ladies and gentlemen, that she sings, are just made up gobbledygook, just made up words and sentences that make no sense whatsoever, so people can't really make head nor tail of what they're hearing. And I do like that it keeps people guessing about and what it's about. And people say that music is all about the lyrics. No, it certainly is not. It's all about the feel of the music. And she's got an amazing voice. She's a lady, by the way, if you don't know, who sang on Teardrop by Massive Attack. But yeah, Cherry Coloured Funk, Pitch the Baby. Some of these song titles are just crazy as well. Iceblink, Look, 50-50 Clown, Heaven or Las Vegas, the title track. I Wear Your Ring, Fotsy Politic, Wolf in the Breast, Road, River and Rail, Fro Foxes in Midsummer Fires. I think these guys are on some substances, you know, in the 80s. I definitely do. What an absolutely gorgeous album cover as well. It's a classic. Treasure's amazing as well. And like I said, do not sleep on some of the rarities of this band. I didn't say with the Rage Against the Machine album, by the way, what my favourite track is. It could be anything right now. I honestly don't know, but I do like... I didn't really go in depth. Everyone knows Rage Against the Machine. If you don't, you're bloody sure. I've always loved Fistful of Steel. Christ almighty, that outro is crazy, man. I'm going to trash my house because of that. But yeah, on this beautiful album, I think I might go for the song Iceblink Look. But it's just such a beautiful album. Only running in at 38 minutes in length. It's dream pop, ambient pop, mad shout out as well. Mad props, I should say, sorry, to Robin Guthrie, the guitarist. He's done a lot of other work for other bands as well. Absolutely amazing. Great production, beautiful vocals, a legendary album. And for me, it is the best. And most people do think so. But some will, of course, disagree because it's a strong discography. And now we've got a band. This is the one that I picked up in the market in my town, second hand. It actually had a wrapper that it was like where it was sold from. It was a place in the centre of Manchester, and Coca-Cola repeating on me there. And this album isn't seen as this band's best. I think it's a little underrated. The one before this is seen as their best. These guys have made 4 albums. I saw this, that obviously everything was categorised. I turned down a Black Sabbath album, by the way, which was £15. I honestly don't know what I was thinking. Because those albums that I just showed you, Rage Against the Machine and Cocteau Twins, I think they were about 25 quid-ish. This was 25 quid, but I saw this in the singer-songwriter folk section, and half of the box that all the vinyls were in were Bob Dylan for folk music. But Bringing It All Back Home and Blood on the Tracks, which were my favourite Dylan albums, weren't there. So I thought, no, I'm okay. And there's a lot of compilations and live albums. I'm not really interested in those for my collection, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know these guys, you certainly should. I was going to say it's the first Norwegian act in the vinyls collection, but of course it's not, because I've got Röyksopp as well. And of course Röyksopp is where I found that great man there for the first time, Mr. Erland Øy. And this is Mr. Eric... what's his surname? Eric Boe. Erland Øy and Eric Glambek Boe, or Boy. I don't know the pronunciations, and with Scandinavians, they've got the little cross, the diagonal cross in the O, the accent. But yeah, this is Kings of Convenience and the 3rd album, Declaration of Dependence. And I'm down on how much music I get into these days. This album brings back great memories. It was released in 2009, 15 years ago. They've only released one album, a comeback album, 3 years since then. And I remember, I think it was August, September, October 2009, one of those months, within 2 weeks, this album, Alice in Chains' return album, Black Gives Way to Blue, and Mew, No More Stories, it's called. They're Danish. And hey, maybe they'll come on the vinyl pickups one day, because they're bloody amazing as well. Or their older music's better. But basically, I think within a week or two, all those albums came out, and I just loved them straight away. And these days, it's like I can't find 3 albums I love that much in a year. Yeah, but anyway, on the album before this, there's a song called Homesick, where Erland is talking about his discovery. Whilst I don't know if it's a true story or it's just the story in the song, but it's amazing. It's goosebump inducing about finding Simon and Garfunkel, and 2 soft voices are blended in perfection from the reels of this record that I found. It's a song called Homesick. It's not on this album, but if that sounds interesting to you, softly spoken, speaking about how he's fallen in love with that gorgeous music, and it gives me goosebumps. It's absolutely beautiful, and I love this album so much. It's not seen as their best by most people. It got good reviews when it came out, but the one before this, which I think is called Riot on an Empty Street, is seen as better. This isn't in its packaging. Look at that. I'm guessing I think they're from Bergen, these 2 guys. Absolutely beautiful scenery. And all the lyrics are on here as well. It's just an incredibly consistent album. Apparently it was recorded in a few different places, in some theatre halls as well, so there's this crazy reverb going on with the songs on this album. And here Erland, maybe on his own, or Eric, is basically giving you more information about the album, how it was made. And there is Eric there playing the guitar. And yeah, it's mostly acoustic, but these guys are good guitar players, and sometimes you can feel like a bossa nova, Portuguese, Brazilian influence, and also it's like that influence shines through as well as just the traditional folk from the West. You hear that as well, and a little bit of jazzy elements here and there, some poppier tracks. Some slight other instrumentations in the mix. This album doesn't feature drums at all. It's very relaxed. It's very beautiful. There's some darker moments here, but Overall, yeah, what an amazing album. I have a look here. Metacritic 65 out of 100, 3.5 out of 5 for All Music. BBC were positive about it. Like I say, people like the album before this, but I've always had a soft spot for this. And great memories. 45 minutes in length, 13 tracks altogether. The one that I'm putting in the drop-down menu is one that gives me goosebumps every time. It's called Second to Numb. I think it's on my YouTube favourites from just random songs that I love, which is pretty random. I just put random tracks in there. But Erland is saying that was it at the start. I'm sure I've mentioned this in a video before somehow. I feel like I have. And then the song starts, and sometimes you'll hear I'm stamping the feet on the ground, or holding the guitar, or putting the hands over the strings, and you can hear that and that kind of, not a good impression there, but you know what I mean. They leave those, not imperfections, but they leave that kind of shit in the tracks, and it gives it such a natural feel. Astonishing album. Mrs. Cold is a little bit cheesy. They do have a bit of a cheesier vibe to them as well with some of these tracks, but this isn't just stringing the guitar like that, like Ed Sheeran. These guys are accomplished players, and some of the songs I think kind of have electric steel guitar, but mostly it's just acoustic. And yeah, check these guys out if you've never heard them. Absolutely amazing. I want to keep this under 35 minutes in length. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be easy when I'm speaking about my favourite musical artist of all time. It's unopened. It's £24 this one. I got this from the vinyl shop. I could have spent probably nearly £1,000 in there. I'll be totally honest with you. But I spent £24. It's the second artist who has now got more than one album in my collection after my favourite band of all time, Cocteau. The Scots are coming, ladies and gentlemen. They really are. And what can you say? I suppose of Canada. The Campfire Headphase. Genuinely laughing and not even putting it on because, you know, Boards of Canada are my joint favourite musical artist with Catatonia. I found them in early 2011, even though I got into Aphex Twin in 2008, and I think I already knew about like Square Pusher and a few other similar electronic artists. But yeah, I found these guys 2011, 13 years ago, and things just haven't been the same since. After this video's done, I could listen to the discography in full. I could listen to all the rarities that came available online against the will of the brothers, Mr. Marcus, Ion, and Michael Sanderson. Have I got the right way around? You might think, oh, they're your favourite artist ever. How can you think you've got the names the wrong way around? I'll tell you why, because these two do not want to be known. They're very, very reluctant to embrace being known and being in the public eye. They adore their privacy, and you know what? Fair play to them. But at the same time, I think they know only too well the memes around the band. These guys haven't made an album in 11 years, and every so often something happens where the fan base just goes absolutely apeshit that we may want to get another album. And we're still waiting. This is the third album, released in 2005, and then it was 8 years until Tomorrow's Harvest came. I've got Music Has the Right to Children. It's even my cover photo on YouTube. That's the first album, released in 98, and this has a very, very similar vibe in terms of its cover, and I say vibe probably in terms of its sound as well. This is the first, I believe, Boards of Canada album with some slight guitars here and there, but you've still got that retro 1970s feel. The production and the samples and the kind of technology that these guys are using, it's some retro shit, and they've said before that they make sure they get the right retro technology to enhance the sound and the vibe. And this album, the Campfire Headphase, I mean, look at the album, it's just pure nostalgia. The washed out face that you can't quite see, the absolutely beautiful, what is that, is it an ocean in the back? I don't quite know. And then look at that kid, look at him. It's just like Music Has the Right to Children. Gio Gaddy, if you don't know, it's got a red cover. Gio Gaddy's the darkest and the weirdest, I would say. Gio Gaddy's the weirdest. Music Has the Right to Children is the most diverse and just retro nostalgic, perhaps. But I would say this is the most nostalgic, actually. This has got a real sweetness to it as well, and a beauty. And not many albums make me feel as emotional as this, and when they do it without any vocals as well. I hate to use the G word, but these two are geniuses. They're the best ever, in my opinion. They're my joint favourite musical artist. And then Tomorrow's Harvest, released in 2013, is just pure apocalyptic madness without vocals again. They paint an unbelievable picture musically with the synths and the electronics. It is complete genius, and I love Tomorrow's Harvest. It's so kind of downtrodden and just it's quite evil without being heavy. It's just so sinister, some of those tracks. And even the front cover is a washed out, yet again, city landscape, and you just think of like a nuclear attack or something. And the boys said they were becoming much more like nihilistic as they were getting older. And I wonder what the new album is going to be like. We do believe there will be a new album, but ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. Where are we at? 26 minutes, okay. This is seen as the worst. It's still a masterpiece. And you know what? I wonder in my head about doing a worst to best of Boards of Canada, but I honestly don't know what my ranking is. That's how good they are. I've done it before in my head, and every single order has happened. I've no idea. I think this might be my favourite. It's definitely not my least favourite, but I don't know what my least favourite is. Sometimes I think it's Music Has the Right to Children. Just unbelievable. The one I'm putting in the drop-down box of my favourite song here is a track called Cocteau. Look, if I explain why that song is one of the most emotionally resonant songs ever for me, I'd be here all day. I'd be here for 30 minutes just talking about that one song. Listen to it and just hear how beautiful and calm it is at the start, and then by the end of the track it turns into complete chaos. Yet again, just all these different sounds playing, and it's just like, how have they done this? How do they do it? I don't know. And it sounds quite pretentious, and it is quite a pretentious fan base, the Boards of Canada fan base. But I'm not one of them. I don't mean to be pretentious. I just think these guys are just on another level to anything else musically. This type and in the world, and music in general. Chroma Key Dreamcoat, that song, the last minute and a half, it just stops and it just changes. These guys are unbelievable at making multiple songs in one song. They'll just stop a song halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, and then just change the vibe. And it feels totally different, but it's not jarring. I don't know how they don't make it jarring, but it always works. And the end of that track, oh my days, it is phenomenal. Every single track here is amazing. 84 Pontiac Dream, that's a beautiful one to listen to if you've never heard these guys. Boards of Canada, the greatest. Campfire, Headphase, 2005, one of my favourite albums of all time. Absolutely ridiculous. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go back to a metallic vibe. A little bit irked though, if I'm being totally honest, because in my next vinyl pickups video, I want a pure heavy metal album and I want a pure hip hop album. Obviously, Zach De La Rocha, he's got rapped vocals, but some of my favourite hip-hop rap albums are either not available on vinyl, or they're ridiculously expensive, or quite simply there's just not enough and not a lot of hip-hop and rap out there in terms of vinyls, or it's just fucking garbage modern mumble rap, which I'm not keen on. But ladies and gentlemen, what band do you think it is who meld hip-hop kind of beats and feel, but this is rock metal, but not pure metal? And I'll tell you something, this cost me 32 quid, so it's the most expensive. I nearly got Koi no Yoken, but I didn't. I got the bloody classic, didn't I? It's Deftones with White Pony. There is the pony. He's running off. He's been spooked, ladies and gentlemen. They've scared him off. What can you say? This was released in the year 2000, amidst the rush of the new metal scene, you know, of Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit, really, and other bands who weren't in the mainstream as well. Tons of bands riding off the coattails of the classic grunge bands, and some great songs were made. You know, they're not great bands, but stuff like Puddle of Mud, Blur It, I love that song. Absolutely love that song. Are they a good band? Nope. Is it a great song? Yeah, I think it is a great song. I love it personally, that song. But yeah, obviously I got into Deftones a lot later. I've been telling you guys when I got into most of these artists. I got into Kings of Convenience, by the way, 2008, the year before Declaration of Independence came out. But with this album and with Deftones, I vividly remember early 2008 off liking Rage Against the Machine, and I downloaded Nirvana and Metallica's discography. So this is when I was 18, so I was a little bit late to the scene, because some people get into music much earlier, but I didn't come from a musical family. I got into all this shit myself. I listened and I downloaded the first two Deftones albums, Adrenaline and Around the Fur, and Adrenaline just went, whew. I'd never heard anything like that at that point. The production is pretty bad. Chino Moreno, the lead vocalist, ladies and gentlemen, he's just outright screaming. There's not much melody. It's heavy as shit, but there's not much in terms of dynamics going on there, and I didn't like it at all. Around the Fur, though, I knew there was something there. And then later that year, after getting into so much music, later in late 2008, early 2009, I got into it properly. And I remember in 2008, the original bassist, unfortunately, these guys passed away. He was in a car accident, and he was in a coma for a long time, and that got my attention about the band. Oh yeah, Deftones, let's listen to them. They've been inconsistent during their career, in my opinion. Around the Fur, this, Koine, I'm telling you now, that album is amazing, incredibly beautiful, atmospheric, but still really heavy. The song Rosemary from that album, I think it's the best song, and I saw both this and Koine, and I just thought, what are you going to do? And ultimately I decided to get this, but I don't know if Koine is my favourite. Japanese saying thing, I don't know what it stands for, I can't remember. Beautiful art cover though. And Saturday Night Wrist and the self-titled album sandwiched in between those albums. Inconsistent. Some people love those albums, I don't. I think they're good, but I think there's a lot of filler on them as well. But was it Diamond Eyes 2010? I remember when that came out. I love that album as well. And the last two albums, Goer, okay but inconsistent, but still pretty good. Production wasn't great though. And then OHMS, that album, absolutely killer. Up there with the better ones, not quite as good as this Koine though. And apparently the next album they've got cooking up is with the producer of Koine. Notice how I'm speaking about that album more than this one. They're all great. Deftones have been going a long time, and for me, the best of the bands that started in the 90s who were like, what do we love? New metal. And, Korn came out the year before Deftones' first album, but these guys have been more consistent than nearly all of them. And, the bass, unbelievable. The guitarist is good. You can feel the influences. Chino has already spoken about his love of, like, Meshuggah, but also Cocteau Twins from before. So you've got some beautiful poppy moments, gorgeous melody. He's lost his voice before. He's screamed his ass off. He does whispered vocals. He's done it all. Apparently, he's very inconsistent live. I'm not sure what I think of Deftones live and whether I'd appreciate that. But I'm not so keen on live music anywhere. It's all about the studio experience. Get these motherfucking bad boys on, which may as well be glued to my head these days, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, White Pony, year 2000, they're best in my opinion. Running in 42 minutes in length. It's legendary. Let's see, where are they? Pitchfork Media, where are you? Oh, 8.4 out of 10. Okay. Fuck you, Pitchfork Media. Some bad reviews here as well. It's contentious music, but for me, they're a great band. The one I'm putting as my favourite track, it could be Digital Bath. Elite, RX Queen, Street Carp, Knife Party. Korea, that is a fucking badass track. Passenger, featuring Maynard James Keenan. That man again? Are you kidding me? Change in the House of Flies. Legendary track, of course, but I'm not going to put it as the one in the drop-down box. And also, RX Queen featured Scott Weiland. We spoke about Stone Temple Pilots a few months ago. I never knew he was featured on that track. What the fuck? But anyway, this is already my longest vinyl pickups video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like rock and metal and you never listened to this bad boy, you should. It's heavy as shit. It's beautiful as well at the same time. Melding rock, metal, hip-hop and other experimental genres together. Deftones peak, but maybe not, because Koine is amazing. And by how many times I'm speaking about it, maybe one day we'll get that as well. And Pink Maggot, I think... Oh, no, it was... No, I'm not going to talk about there's basically 2 versions of a song, and one they released as a single they shouldn't have. It was a bit shit, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this video now, just under 35 minutes. I will see you soon for another video. I don't know what the next video... Oh, I do know what my next video is going to be. It's going to be Football Manager 2017, a one-off video just talking about that game. And then, sooner rather than later, will be a gaming pickups video. I've just purchased a new video game, and it's physical? You've got to be kidding me. And also... Lost my train of thought now. Another vinyl pickups video probably early next year, and then some Last of Us 2 no return runs as well, and Hotline Miami. So I'll kick it off, ladies and gentlemen. See you soon. Bye-bye.